Right now it's 6. Weather alert. Strong overnight storms are out of here, but some areas could see another round this morning. But lower humidity and comfortable temperatures are not far behind. What we're tracking as you head out the door. Also ahead, a dispute between neighbors in Virginia ends with an elderly couple in jail. What police say happened that sent their neighbor to the hospital. Plus, data center debate in Montgomery County. Why some say they are needed and others are worried about the possible impact. And sweet tooth, sour news. How your sugar alternative might be clouding your brain. Your news at 6 starts now. It is 6 o'clock on your hump day this Wednesday morning. Thank you so much for joining us here on Fox 5 and streaming on Fox Local.
Yeah, glad to have you here with us as we get this Wednesday morning started. A lot of folks waking up possibly to some debris around their yard.
Yeah.
We saw some of those severe storms moving throughout the evening last night.
Yes, exactly. So could see some ponding on some roads still left over from the storms last night. Some debris, as Jacqueline just said as well. So could still see a couple of storms at least ignite today, but it should be very limited. Severe weather threat shouldn't be anything near what we saw yesterday. We're just not completely in the clear quite yet. We'll keep the high humidity around for one more day before we finally get some relief into the end of the week and into the weekend. Of course, I'll have much more on that 7-day coming up. Let's first head over to the roads right now, get a quick check on what's happening out there as we are at 6 a.m. You can see a wide zoomed out view. Things are looking pretty good, but we do have one incident to head to this morning. This is on the inner loop through Bethesda. There's a tractor trailer crash after the I-270 spur. The right lane and shoulder are blocked. Delays are starting to build from River Road to go around 1 mile. Right now, we'll take you 3 minutes, but I do anticipate this to get a little bit backed up over the next couple of minutes. Back to you.
All right, Taylor, thank you. Turning now to the war with Iran. In the 11th straight night of the U.S. launching a barrage of strikes against Tehran. Both countries now battling for control over the Strait of Hormuz amid a collapsed interim ceasefire deal. According to U.S. Central Command, the targets struck include aircraft hangars and storage facilities. Meantime, Iran continuing its retaliatory strikes against U.S. allies in Bahrain and Kuwait. It comes as the Pentagon has now identified the third U.S. service member killed in last week's missile attack on a base in Jordan. 28-year-old Sergeant Angel S. Rampersad of New York was killed after the base was hit by Iranian ballistic missiles on Friday.
President Trump also approving a nuclear cooperation agreement with Saudi Arabia that could allow the nation to enrich uranium for a civilian nuclear program. According to the Associated Press, a 30-year deal expected to be announced this week involves U.S. companies helping to develop Saudi nuclear facilities. The agreement, which is expected to head to Congress for review, could face bipartisan scrutiny. We are still following the partial bridge collapse in Montgomery County.
That's right, and that is due to last night's heavy rainfall and flooding. Montgomery County Fire and Rescue say there is buckling on the road surface there. Our Melanie Aldwick is in Gaithersburg, giving us a look at the scene and joins us with the latest details. Mel?
Hey, good morning, guys. Now that the sun is coming up, we can get a little closer look at what the issue is. I'm going to step out of the way, and my photographer, Joseph, is going to zoom into where you see those cones there. So a lot of times people drive these roads, and they don't realize that they're crossing over a little bridge. This is actually a bridge that goes over a tributary of Goshen Branch here, close to the Laytonsville area. Montgomery County Fire and Rescue identified the issue shortly after the torrential downpours last night. So you can see some washing out there and some buckling of the asphalt. Now, the skies darkened just before 6 p.m. when those strong storms swept in. Then until about 9 p.m., rain gauges show about 1.5 inches of rain fell, causing some localized flash flooding. Now, Montgomery County Fire and Rescue says because of that buckling on the road surface, that can signal some washout problems underneath. So Woodfield Road is closed right here where we're standing at Exodus Drive and up at Brink Road as well. Now, State Highway Administration engineers, they will need to come out and assess the structural strength or damage to this little bridge here, and then they will have to decide what the action plan is, whether it is safe for cars to continue to drive over it or whether it's going to have to be closed for shoring up and for repairs. We don't really have an estimated time on that completely, although we do have an indication that it could be several hours before those State Highway Administration engineers get out here. So Montgomery County is just asking everybody to pay attention, be alert, and find an alternate route this morning.
Much for monitoring that situation there. Developing this morning in just a couple of hours, the House will consider a bill that could give Congress total control over the district's money. The proposal would strip the D.C. Council of its power to pass new taxes, requiring the council to seek approval from federal lawmakers first. D.C. leaders warning that the move could cripple the city's ability to raise revenue and maintain a balanced budget. House Republicans, however, say the bill will protect residents by stopping unnecessary tax hikes.
The bill is very damaging to the district. It would reinsert the Congress into the minutia of governing.
We've said this is a contrast. We had been saying for months, you've heard me say, a contrast between common sense and crazy in the midterm, and now it's common sense versus communism.
In a statement to Fox 5, D.C.'s Democratic mayoral nominee, Janice Lewis-George, called the bill unfair and unjust.
All right, 6:05 now this morning. Let's get you outside. Live look out towards Bluemont, Virginia. Looks pretty good compared to what we saw this time yesterday, where it was pretty foggy out there this morning.
A lot of moisture in the air.
Yeah, it's so humid, right? We know it was nice. It was so nice to get a break from the humidity. We have one more day of it, and then we have some really nice weather on the horizon. So one more day of high humidity, the warmth, and everything to get through. But we are still cleaning up from the storms last night. Let's break down some rainfall totals. Over an inch of rainfall actually reported at BWI, and just under that at Reagan and Dulles airports, bringing Reagan's total so far for the month of July to over 3 inches of rainfall. So certainly needed it, but we keep adding to that every single day. Temperatures right now are currently in the low 70s. We had the high humidity out there as well, so that's going to make it feel uncomfortable for the rest of today. I do think it will still warm up into the mid to upper 80s. Let's talk about that storm chance today. Again, right now things look limited, which is a great sight to see because we did have the chance for storms this morning. That's an approaching cold front, which will eventually ignite maybe a couple of brief pop-up storms by the afternoon through the evening, but it should be significantly more limited and less severe than yesterday. So not going to rule out the chance for a quick storm. Otherwise, we'll get into the mid 80s with high humidity through noon, upper 80s by 5 o'clock. Then here comes at least the relief from the humidity into tomorrow as temperatures drop into the lower 80s by Thursday. We'll keep that refreshing air in the forecast all the way through the end of the week and into the weekend. Let's head over to the roads right now. Get a check on what's happening out there coming up on 6:06 a.m. Heads up, we do have a new incident coming in Hillendale, New Hampshire Avenue southbound. It looks like it's closed due to a crash involving a pedestrian at Powder Mill Road. It's under police direction for right now, so if you can avoid the area, that's going to be at least my best advice for now. We'll keep you updated on that situation. Also through Damascus, we do have Maryland 650 eastbound and westbound lanes are shut down due to a fallen tree before Hipsley Mill Road and Sundown Road. So it's under police posted detour right there. If you can avoid that stretch of road, please do so. Of course, we'll have much more on weather and traffic in just about 10 minutes. Back to you.
The trial of the former January 6th defendant and man accused of touching women's hair on Metro is expected to start today. Earlier this week, Brian Bettencourt pleaded not guilty to simple assault and stalking charges. He's accused of live streaming himself touching those strangers back in March. Well, the future of data centers in Montgomery County will be front and center today.
County council committees are set to review proposals that could temporarily halt new data center development while leaders decide how those facilities should be regulated.
And Fox 5's Maureen Ume is live this morning in Rockville with what's at stake. Maureen, good morning.
Good morning. So this is really kind of the first step in what Montgomery County will do with data centers here. Committees will be meeting to decide on 3 projects, which way they go. And these projects can really help Montgomery County see whether they can have data centers here, what it could do to the environment, what it could do to neighborhoods, and also what it could do to infrastructure. That is what they'll be studying at these 3 committee meetings happening later today. So the Economic Development Committee, that's one of the committees meeting. They expected to review 2 competing proposals this morning. One would pause new data center permits for 6 months, while another would stop new building permits for 2 years. Supporters say the county needs time to understand how large data centers could affect electricity demand, water resources, noise in nearby communities before approving additional projects. Later today, another county council committee will also review proposed zoning rules that would determine where future data centers could be built and what standards they would have to meet. Here's what opponents at a rally last month had to say.
A lot of us have felt the effects of rising electricity rates in Maryland because of data centers built in Virginia and in Pennsylvania. So why would we want to build them here?
Without the right regulations, the water demands to cool hyperscale data centers will challenge the ability of the Potomac River to meet our needs for drinking water in the future.
But industry representatives say a lengthy moratorium could have consequences of its own. In a statement to Fox 5, the Data Center Coalition said in part, unfortunately, local moratoriums on data centers would send a signal that the area is closed for business. These moratoriums would deprive local communities of the opportunity to compete for investment and jobs while forcing Maryland to relinquish significant long-term economic investment. Now, today meetings are just committee meetings, and so no decision will be made at these meetings, but it will certainly help to forward what County Council would do when they do meet and consider data centers here in the county. So again, no final decision today. This is one of the first steps in deciding whether or not data centers will in fact be coming to Montgomery County. That is the latest for now. Send it back to you guys in the studio.
You know, it's a big issue for sure there in other counties across the region. Well, the Secret Service sued. Details on the Army veteran taking the agency to court after he was hurt in the crossfire between the Secret Service and a gunman near the White House.
Plus, a bizarre discovery from police leads to 2 men behind bars and now facing charges. The illegal photo shoot officers came across.